So, hello, I'm Maria Jalal here, and with Sue Wilkinson of Alliance Internationale, and we are here to discuss the future plans for my clinical with Teach Now. We are looking at next week, the week of September 14th.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay, so the classes that I have lined up to do are with a Russian student, a new student, a false beginner, and she wants 6 hours a week of English and 2 hours a week of French.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so how would you suggest that I go about orientating the Russian student? She hasn't told me her name yet, but the intermediary is named Viara.
Okay. Well, the first thing to do is to establish her motivation, to see why she is interested in learning English and French. Okay. You have to see her level. You will have to check her level. If she has no level, there's no test, of course. If she already has some vocabulary, you will be able to establish orally if she's a false beginner, pre-intermediate, etc. And if necessary, we have the written tests to establish the level. Okay. Once you've established the level, you have to see her motivation. You have to know if she's learning English to live in this country. Is English to use with her staff? Is it to use for traveling? Is it to use to be able to speak to foreigners in this country? That we have to know her goal first.
Right.
Once you've done that, you could perhaps put to her that she has to find an objective.
Mm-hmm.
Is her objective just to reach intermediate level in the language? Is her objective to go further? Is her objective to do an exam to validate her level? Okay.
Which exam would you suggest? What do you think of?
So she's not a university student, so we're not going to propose to do the TOEFL exam for entrance in, for example, into an American university. On the other hand, if she has a career, she could, on her CV, it would be interesting to have a level in English. So there I would advise the TOEIC exam. The TOEIC exam, which is also an American exam. It's a good exam to determine the level she has reached. Okay?
Okay. So I will start with her on Monday. So the first thing I should do is just determine her level and her goals.
Exactly.
And then from there develop a program.
Develop a program with a final objective.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay. And then next I have 2 girls, twins,
Yes.
high school age,
Yeah.
who just need a kind of a stopgap measure between now and they're waiting for their visa to go to boarding school in London at St. Edmunds. And they need some help with literature, and their mother just wants them to keep up with the pace of what's happening at their boarding school in London, and to
Why literature?
because the other subjects they feel confident in,
Okay, fine.
but it's the English literature
Yes.
and that they feel that they need help in, and to get their ear used to English.
Okay, fine. Good.
So that seems straightforward, and they sent me what they will be reading, which will be some Arthur Miller plays and things like that.
Okay, so they're obviously not beginners. They have a certain level in the language.
Yes, and we've been communicating. Usually I do a sort of formative assessment just by starting with texts or emails in English to see if they will respond to me in English and what their level is. And I don't say I'm testing them, but I'm actually testing them by seeing if they'll respond to me.
Okay, and their written texts are good?
Fine.
Fine.
I mean, a couple of errors here and there, but
Basically,
quite communicative, quite
Excellent.
accurate.
Okay.
The next class I have is with a 12-year-old who has aspirations to go into international marketing
Okay, fine. At 12.
at 12.
Okay, fine.
And she lived her early years in Canada, in Montreal.
Yes.
So it's, French-speaking Canada, but she has a good memory base. She has, it's all in her database of her mind, but her output, her production is limited. So
Okay.
her mother wants me to,
She was at school in Montreal?
until 7 or 8 years of age.
Okay, because in Montreal they do bilingual classes, I think, just bilingual
Maybe that's
classes.
what, yes.
So she has some knowledge of English, certainly, then.
Yes.
So you have to bring it out.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have any suggestions there?
Well, once again, you have to meet the kids first. You've just been emailing them, but you have
Oh,
to...
I met her.
Oh, yeah.
I met her on Tuesday,
Okay.
and she was delightful, and she understood quite a lot, and I gave her a passage from Mark Twain to read, and she was very fluent in her reading.
Okay, fine.
Just she feels reticent about speaking.
About speaking. Okay, so that's after a few lessons that will be better.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
you have to force her to speak and to ask questions,
Yes.
not just to speak about the text, but get her to ask questions. You ask questions first to get the rust off. Okay.
And after that, I just have homework help with a Japanese, well, she's French, her mother is Japanese, and that will be twice a week. And so I won't know exactly what we're getting into until I see her on Monday, but it will just be help with the classwork she already has.
Okay.
And-
She's in an international school.
Yes, so she was at Les Condamines, and now she's going into the International School of Monaco.
I see.
And so what will I be doing with you next week?
Well, next week, the 3 classes you've been doing this week are all going to Canada.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have a look at Victoria. Victoria is in the 4e, I don't know in American, that's which grade.
How old is she?
She'll be 13.
13, so that's 8th
So
or
third,
9th grade.
it's the 3rd
now.
class of secondary school here.
Yes.
Yeah, 8th grade.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so she'll be in 8th grade. Her English is not bad. She's been studying with hers once a week, just 1 hour a week for 2 years now. No, for 1 year now. And she's continuing once a week. The main objective with her, well, at least for her parents, the main objective is for us to help her with her English homework. Okay. But of course we have to explain the rules, etc. before, and then we let her do the homework herself with guidance. Okay.
Yes.
But the parents expect us to do the homework, but that's not the way it works. The child has to learn to do the homework himself or herself. Okay. So we give the guidance, and if they've not understood, then we fill in the gaps.
Okay, that seems pretty straightforward. So, as I said before, my expectations for the clinical part is to be able to articulate some of the theory behind, to be able to better explain why I'm doing what I'm doing or why I'm organizing the class in a certain way. So that will come with time, but that's really my job, to learn, because there's always something very interesting to learn from experienced teachers. You can always learn a new way of doing something, and I'm always welcoming those opportunities to learn from experienced teachers and to just articulate.
What is very important is the preparation of your lessons. You should be well prepared. If you're in a classroom situation, your classroom should be well prepared too. Okay? Not arriving at the last moment and then saying, oh, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yes.
Everything should be well prepared. When everything's well prepared, a lesson goes extremely well.
And what do you do to be prepared, or does it depend on each class? Or what are some things that you do for each class, no matter which class?
I prepare my lessons. I prepare what I'm going to do with them. During the lesson, I revise the previous lesson always. Okay. Before I come to the lesson, if it's in a company, I organize my room first. If it's in a classroom, in our classrooms, then they're already organized normally. Okay. As I said, during the lesson, we always revise the previous lesson to discover whether they have learned something or not. And if not, they will have to learn it for the week after. Okay, because we want some progress. We don't want just to be repeating the same things. Okay, and then we go on to the lesson that we have prepared.
That's perfect. Well, I'm looking very forward to working with you and to learning from you, Sue.